A hopeful beginning. Anna Petrova stood at the edge of the dirt road, her small suitcase by her feet, and her heart full of hope. The crisp Russian wind tugged at her coat, but she barely noticed the cold. Her eyes were fixed on the horizon, waiting for the car that would change her life. She had never expected to become a mail-order bride. It wasn't something she had dreamed of as a little girl, back when she'd believed in fairy tales and knights in shining armor. But reality had a cruel way of wearing dreams down. At 32, Anna had faced more rejection than most, always for the same reason: her size. In her small village, people never looked past her full figure to see her warm heart, her quick wit, or her love of literature. Instead, they offered backhanded compliments or silent stares. Her sister Lena had introduced her to the agency. "You're beautiful," Lena had said firmly. "If they can't see it here, someone across the world will." That someone, Anna hoped, was Thomas Randall. An American widower from Montana, Thomas had written her poetic letters, filled with kindness and gentle humor. He'd said he wanted a companion, someone with a tender heart and a love for simple pleasures: long walks, books, family dinners. Anna had responded with honest, thoughtful notes. Their exchanges grew more heartfelt with each letter. And when he finally proposed she join him in America, Anna said yes. Now, standing alone in Moscow's modest international terminal, passport in hand, she felt nervous excitement rise in her chest. She boarded the plane with trembling fingers, clutching the letter where Thomas had promised to meet her at the airport. "I'll be holding a red rose," he had written, "just like in the story you told me about your favorite poem." After 20 hours of travel and 2 layovers, Anna arrived in Montana, exhausted but beaming. As she walked into the arrivals area, her eyes searched the crowd eagerly. There were families reuniting, lovers embracing, businessmen checking their watches. And then, she saw him, tall, broad-shouldered, with a weathered face and kind eyes. Thomas looked just like his photo. He held a red rose in his hand, as promised. Anna approached, heart pounding. She smiled, her cheeks flushed with emotion. "Thomas?" she asked softly. The man looked at her, hesitated, and then blinked in surprise. His smile faded. He glanced quickly at her suitcase, then back to her face. His hand, still holding the rose, dropped slightly. "You're Anna," he said, uncertainly. "Yes," she replied, her voice gentle. "It's me." There was a pause. Then, slowly, he nodded. "I wasn't expecting you to look like this." The words stung, though he hadn't said them cruelly. Anna's smile faltered. "Like what?" she asked, already knowing the answer. He shifted uncomfortably. "You didn't mention your size." "I didn't think it mattered," she said simply. Thomas frowned, clearly uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, this isn't what I had in mind." She swallowed hard. The rose, still in his hand, now hung awkwardly by his side, a symbol of something that had already wilted. "I see," she said, voice tight with emotion. "I'm sorry," he repeated. "I think maybe this was a mistake." Anna nodded. She didn't cry, not here, not in front of him. Instead, she lifted her chin and stepped back. "Thank you for your honesty," she said. "I'll find my own way." Thomas looked conflicted, but said nothing as she turned and walked away. In a strange country, without a plan or a place to stay, Anna exited the airport alone. The Montana air was clean and cold, and it filled her lungs as she stepped outside. She didn't know what would happen next, but she had survived worse. She found a bench and sat down, tears prickling behind her eyes. Pulling out her phone, she messaged the agency. "Change of plans. Need help finding temporary accommodation." As she waited for a reply, a voice beside her said, "Excuse me, are you okay?" She looked up to see a man, maybe mid-30s, holding a coffee and wearing a concerned expression. He wasn't tall, like Thomas, or particularly polished, but there was kindness in his gaze. Genuine warmth. I'm not sure," Anna replied honestly. He smiled gently and offered her the coffee. "Long flight." She hesitated, then took it. "Very long." And that's when everything began to change. A stranger's kindness. The coffee was hot and comforting in Anna's cold hands. She sipped it slowly, the steam curling up and warming her face. The man beside her had sat down quietly, leaving a respectful space between them. He didn't bombard her with questions. He simply waited. After a few long moments, he spoke again. "Rough day." Anna glanced at him, then looked away. "You could say that." He nodded, as if he understood more than she had said. "I've had a few of those myself." There was something soothing about his present steady, grounded. He didn't look like someone who was trying to impress her or fix her, just someone willing to listen. "I'm Anna," she said finally, holding out her hand. He smiled. "Nice to meet you, Anna. I'm Luke." They shook hands. His grip was firm but gentle. She looked at him again, this time more closely. Luke had a rough, outdoorsy look, slightly unkempt brown hair, sun-worn skin, and lines at the corners of his eyes from years of smiling. His jeans were dusty, and his jacket looked like it had seen a few winters. He didn't dress like a man who spent time in airports, more like someone who belonged on a ranch or out in the woods. "You waiting for someone?" she asked. He chuckled. "Nope, just dropped my sister off. She's heading back to New York." "Big city," Anna said softly, and he nodded. "And this isn't," he replied with a grin. "Montana's big in a different way." Anna smiled faintly. Then the reality of her situation returned, heavy and sharp. She glanced at her suitcase. "I came here for someone, but it didn't work out." Luke followed her gaze. "You came all the way from Russia, didn't you?" "Yes." She was surprised he knew the accent, he said. "Also, you've got that world traveler without a plan look about you." She laughed, just a little. It felt good. Real. "I guess I do. I've got a truck out front," he said, tilting his head toward the doors. "If you're stranded, I can help get you into town. There's a bed and breakfast, I know. It's not fancy, but the owner makes amazing apple pie." Anna hesitated. She didn't know this man, but her instincts, which had so often been silenced by self-doubt and fear, told her he was safe. And she didn't exactly have a lot of options. "Are you sure?" she asked. "I don't want to impose." Luke stood. "You won't be. I was heading that way anyway. Come on." He helped her with her suitcase, and together they walked through the sliding doors into the cool afternoon air. The mountains loomed in the distance, dusted with snow, like something out of a painting. The sky was a rich blue, stretching forever as they drove. Anna watched the scenery roll past pine trees, open fields, the occasional glimpse of horses in a pasture. It was beautiful, wild, and nothing like she had imagined. Her heart was still heavy, but it no longer felt hopeless. They reached the bed and breakfast or cozy log cabin, with smoke curling from the chimney. An elderly woman greeted them at the door. "Luke, what brings you by?" "Got a guest for you, Carol. She needs a place to rest." Carol looked Anna up and down with a warm, assessing smile. "We've got just the room. Come in, dear." Once inside, Anna was enveloped by the smell of cinnamon and wood smoke. Carol showed her to a simple but comfortable room with a view of the mountains. Anna dropped her suitcase and turned to Luke, who had followed her to the door. "Thank you," she said quietly. He nodded. "You gonna be all right?" She gave a small smile. "I think so." He pulled a small card from his wallet and handed it to her. "That's my number. I live just outside of town. If you need anything, call. Even if it's just for pie." She took the card and tucked it into her coat pocket. "Thank you, Luke. Really." With a final smile, he left, and Anna was alone. She sat on the bed, the events of the day finally catching up to her. The rejection, the unexpected kindness, the way Luke had looked at her, not with judgment or pity, but with genuine curiosity and respect. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt something new, possibility. Starting over the next morning, Anna awoke to the scent of freshly baked bread and coffee drifting through the wooden walls of the B&B. For a few blissful seconds, she forgot where she was. Then, the memory of the day before rushed back to me: rejection, Luke's unexpected kindness, and the soft bed beneath her in this quiet Montana cabin. She rose slowly, the aches of travel still lingering in her body. After washing and dressing in her most presentable clothes, a soft green sweater and black slacks, she made her way downstairs. Carol greeted her with a kind smile and a plate of scrambled eggs, toast, and fresh fruit. "You looked like you needed rest," she said, pouring Anna a cup of tea. "I did," Anna replied gratefully, taking a seat at the long wooden table. The cozy dining room overlooked a pine forest just beyond the frosted windows. Birds fluttered between branches as the sun began to rise fully, casting golden streaks across the sky. It was breathtaking as she ate. Anna noticed a few other guests, a middle-aged couple planning a hiking trip, and a young woman hunched over a laptop. But no one asked questions or stared. She was just another visitor here, and that gave her a strange sense of peace. After breakfast, she stepped outside, drawing in the cool, clean air. Snow dusted the hills in the distance, and the sky was wide and open. She had come to America for a man. That part had gone wrong. But maybe she could stay for herself. Her phone buzzed with a message. It was from the agency. "We're sorry to hear what happened. We can try to arrange another match if you'd like." Anna stared at the screen for a moment, then locked it and slipped it back into her pocket. She didn't reply. Later that day, she wandered into town. The walk was longer than expected, about a mile down a gravel road and then another half-mile along the main street, but it gave her time to think. She passed local shops, a diner, a post office, a hardware store, and a cozy-looking cafe, with a chalkboard sign out front that read, "Hot coffee, warm company, cold pie, but only if you ask for it." She smiled to herself and stepped inside. The warmth hit her immediately, along with the rich scent of roasted coffee beans and cinnamon. A few people were chatting softly at tables, and behind the counter stood a familiar face. Luke looked up from where he was wiping down a tray. "Anna," he said, pleasantly surprised. "You found us." "You didn't mention you work here," she said. "I don't usually mention it unless it comes up," he replied with a grin. "I own it. Been running this place a few years now." She looked around. The walls were lined with old photographs, black and white snapshots of the town, faded images of farmers and families. Bookshelves filled with worn novels and board games stood near the back, next to a fireplace with crackling logs. "It's beautiful," she said honestly. Luke beamed. "Thanks, I built a lot of it myself. Took a while, but it's mine." Anna nodded, impressed. "I think I needed to see something like this today." He poured her a cup of coffee and handed it to her. "It's on the house." "Luke, I can't keep." "You're not keeping. You're just being treated like a person who matters," he said gently. She took the cup, touched. "Thank you. Got plans today?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not really. Just figuring things out." "Well, we've got a book club meeting this afternoon, mostly locals. You're welcome to join. It's just us and some pie." "I'd like that," she said, surprising even herself. That afternoon, Anna joined the group, a small gathering of townspeople who met weekly at the cafe. They discussed a novel she hadn't read, but no one made her feel out of place. Luke introduced her warmly, and soon she was laughing along, offering opinions, and even helping pass out slices of pie as the sun began to dip low in the sky, painting the mountains in soft oranges and purples. Anna sat quietly, absorbing the moment. This place, this town, these people. They had no idea who she was supposed to be. She wasn't someone's disappointment here. She wasn't judged by her body or her past. She was simply Anna, and for the first time in a long while, that felt like enough. Building trust, the days following the book club meeting settled into a comforting routine for Anna. She found herself waking up to the peaceful quiet of Montana's rolling hills, breathing in the fresh pine-scented air, and slowly unraveling the tight knots of anxiety that had shadowed her for years. Life here was simple but not empty. The kindness of strangers and the warmth of a close-knit community wrapped around her like a protective blanket. Luke became a steady presence in her days. Every morning, he was at the cafe early, brewing coffee and preparing fresh pastries. Sometimes, Anna helped by wiping down tables or stocking shelves. Though the work was humble, it gave her a sense of purpose and she liked feeling useful. At first, she kept her distance, unsure how to navigate this new chapter. But Luke's gentle nature slowly chipped away at her walls. He never pushed or pried, just offered friendship. On one crisp morning, as she arranged flowers in a vase by the window, Luke wandered over and handed her a steaming cup of coffee. "You don't have to do all the work," he teased softly. Anna laughed. "I want to help. It feels good." He smiled, eyes warm. "You know, you're a lot stronger than you think." She looked up at him, surprised. "Why do you say that?" "Because you're here. You traveled halfway across the world, faced rejection, and still you keep going." She felt a flush rise to her cheeks but said nothing. Luke often spoke about his life in Montana. He was a rancher's son who had stayed close to home, finding contentment in the land and community. He shared stories of childhood adventures, family traditions, and the simple joys of living in a place where people knew and cared for each other. One evening, after the cafe had closed and the last customers had left, Luke invited Anna for a walk along the nearby river. The sky was a canvas of stars, and the air smelled of pine and earth. They walked side by side in comfortable silence before Luke spoke. "You don't have to worry about fitting in here. People see you for who you are." Anna stopped and looked at him. "Back home, I was always judged for my size. for being too much in a world that prizes thinness and perfection. I thought coming here would change that. But Thomas, he saw me and wanted someone else. Luke nodded slowly. That kind of shallow thinking says more about him than you. You deserve someone who sees the real you. She swallowed hard. I'm scared though. Scared I'll never find that. Luke's eyes softened. I think you already have. Anna's heart skipped a beat, but she looked away, feeling vulnerable. They continued walking, the river's gentle murmur filling the space between them. Over the weeks, Anna began to open up more to Luke, to the community, and most importantly, to herself. She took long hikes through the forest, skied on nearby slopes, and volunteered at local events. Her confidence grew, and so did her smile. One afternoon, while helping Carol in the kitchen, she found a letter tucked among some papers. Curious, she opened it. It was from Thomas's agency, offering to set up another match. Anna read it carefully, then folded it and placed it back in the envelope. She realized she no longer wanted that. This was her life now, her choice. She had been rejected once for being too much. But here, in this quiet town with its open skies and kind hearts, she was exactly enough, and someone she hadn't expected was starting to see just how beautiful she truly was. A growing connection. The winter deepened, wrapping the Montana landscape in a soft blanket of snow that sparkled under the bright sun. For Anna, each day brought a little more warmth, not from the weather, but from the connections she was building. Luke and Anna had settled into an easy rhythm. Their friendship, forged through shared moments in the cafe, walks through snowy woods, and quiet evenings by the fire, grew stronger with every passing day. There was no rush, no pressure, just two people enjoying each other's company in a place that felt like home. One afternoon, after the cafe had closed and the last customers had left, Luke invited Anna to help him prepare for a local winter festival. The town's annual celebration was a tradition that brought everyone together with music, food, and laughter. Luke was in charge of setting up the bonfire and decorating the main square. Anna loved the way the community came alive for the festival. Children ran with glowing lanterns, couples danced beneath strings of twinkling lights, and neighbors gathered to share stories and warm drinks. Luke and Anna worked side by side, hanging garlands and arranging logs. When they paused to catch their breath, Luke caught Anna's hand in his. You're amazing at this, he said softly, his eyes meeting hers. Anna felt a flutter in her chest but smiled shyly. I'm just happy to help. Luke's gaze lingered. I'm glad you're here. Later, as the festival kicked off, Anna found herself swept into a dance with Luke under the stars. The cold was forgotten as laughter bubbled between them. In that moment, surrounded by the warmth of the fire and the joy of the community, Anna felt a lightness she hadn't known in years. Over the next weeks, their friendship deepened into something tender and true. Luke admired Anna's strength and kindness, her ability to find beauty in the smallest things. Anna cherished Luke's patience, his unwavering support, and the way he made her feel seen, not for her size or past, but for the person she was. One snowy evening, as they sat by the fire in Luke's cozy cabin, Anna opened up about her fears and hopes. She told him about the rejection she had faced, the loneliness that sometimes crept in, and the longing for acceptance. Luke listened quietly, his hand gently covering hers. You don't have to be afraid anymore, he said. I see you, Anna, all of you, and I wouldn't change a thing. Tears welled in Anna's eyes. For the first time, she believed it. The love that had once seemed so distant now felt close and real. Not because of grand gestures or perfect circumstances, but because it was built on honesty, respect, and genuine connection. Anna's journey from rejection to rediscovery had led her to a place where she could finally embrace herself. In Luke's eyes, she found the reflection of a woman worthy of love, no matter her size or past. As the snow continued to fall outside, soft and silent, Anna knew she had found more than just a new home. Facing the past, embracing the future with winter firmly settled over Montana, the days grew shorter and quieter. But inside Luke's cabin, a gentle warmth blossomed, born of a love that had grown slowly, carefully, like the steady flame of the fire crackling between them. Anna felt herself changing in ways she hadn't anticipated. The rejection that once haunted her no longer defined her. She was becoming a woman who believed in her own worth, supported by the kindness and steadfastness of a man who saw her whole. Yet, even with all this newfound happiness, Anna knew the past wasn't something she could simply leave behind. One evening, as snow fell softly outside the window, she found the courage to open up more fully to Luke. About her life in Russia, she told him about the small village where she'd grown up, the narrow streets, the gossiping neighbors, and the family who loved her but struggled to understand her. She shared the stories of the countless times she'd been turned away. Not because of who she was, but because of the number on the scale. Luke listened quietly, holding her hand. When she finished, he pulled her close. "You're so much more than what anyone ever said about you." Anna smiled through tears. "Sometimes, I wonder if I would have ever found the courage to come here, if it weren't for you." Luke shook his head. "It was all you, Anna. You took that step. I just helped you see it." In the days that followed, Anna received a message from Thomas's agency again, offering another introduction. This time, a kind man with different interests and a sincere letter. But when she read the message, she felt no excitement, only clarity. She sat down with Luke by the fire and showed him the letter. "I could try again," she said slowly. "But I don't want to." Luke smiled. "You don't have to. You've already found what you were looking for." Anna nodded, relief flooding her. "I want to build a life here. With you." Luke's eyes shone with happiness. "That sounds perfect." Together, they began to talk about the future plans for the cafe, the possibility of expanding, maybe even starting a family someday. Anna imagined a life filled with laughter, love, and acceptance. The fear and doubt that once weighed on her heart were replaced by hope and trust. She realized that the true journey wasn't about finding someone to complete her, but about discovering the strength and love she already carried inside. As the snow melted and the first signs of spring appeared, Anna and Luke stood outside the cafe, hand in hand, watching the sun set behind the mountains. Anna breathed in the fresh air, her heart full. She was no longer just a mail-order bride, rejected for her size. She was a woman who had found her place, her purpose, and her true love. A new chapter. Spring blossomed over Montana with a quiet, hopeful beauty. The snow melted into streams, and wildflowers began to peek through the thawing earth. For Anna, the change in season mirrored the transformation within her, a shift from uncertainty to confidence, from loneliness to belonging. The cafe was busier than ever. Locals and travelers alike found comfort in its warm walls, the rich aroma of coffee, and the welcoming smiles Anna and Luke offered. Together, they had breathed new life into the small town's gathering place, making it a haven where everyone was seen and accepted. Anna's mornings began with laughter as she prepared breakfast for early risers. Afternoons were filled with conversations, book club meetings, and quiet moments by the fireplace. Evenings brought peaceful walks under the vast Montana sky, hand in hand with Luke. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the mountains, Luke led Anna to a clearing just outside of town. The air was soft and fragrant with blooming wildflowers. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, velvet box. Anna's breath caught as Luke knelt on one knee. "Anna," he said, his voice steady and full of love. "You came into this town with courage, strength, and a heart that refused to give up. You are more beautiful than any dream I ever imagined. Will you marry me?" Tears spilled down Anna's cheeks as she nodded, unable to find words. She whispered, "Yes, yes, I will." They embraced beneath the open sky, the stars beginning to twinkle overhead like silent witnesses to their promise. In the months that followed, preparations for their wedding brought the entire town together. Carol baked a towering cake. Neighbors offered decorations, and friends shared stories of Anna's journey, how she had come as a stranger and become family. On a warm summer day, surrounded by the people who loved them, Anna and Luke exchanged vows. Anna wore a simple dress that made her glow with happiness. Luke's eyes never left hers as they spoke words of commitment and hope. The ceremony was not just a celebration of their love, but a triumph over rejection and fear. Anna's story had changed from one of being too much to one of belonging and being treasured exactly as she was. Years later, Anna would often sit by the cafe window, watching children play and friends gather. She knew her journey had been difficult, but it had led her to a place of peace and joy. She had learned that true love was not about changing who she was, but finding someone who loved her wholly. And with Luke, she had found that love, the kind that sees past appearances and embraces the soul. Anna's heart was full, her life rich with meaning, and her spirit free. Her story was no longer about rejection. It was about resilience, hope, and a love that was real. The end. Would you like me to help you with anything else? Like turning this into a polished article? Creating a summary? Or maybe a social media post? You said, "Give me a prompt for thumbnail of this story." US-based ChatGPT said, "Sure, here's a thumbnail prompt for your story. Tailored for a US-based audience. Thumbnail prompt. An inviting rustic cafe set against the backdrop of majestic Montana mountains at sunset. In the foreground, a warm-hearted plus-size woman and a rugged man share a genuine smile, their hands almost touching. Soft golden light bathes the scene, highlighting themes of acceptance, love, and new beginnings. The title text reads, "Rejected for her size, she found true love in Montana." Would you like me to help you generate this image or tweak the prompt further? You said, "Give me a prompt for clip generation of this story from Meta," AI ChatGPT said. Absolutely. Here's a detailed prompt you can use for generating a video clip of this story with Meta AI's video tools. Meta AI Clip Generation Prompt. Create a heartfelt, cinematic short clip set in a picturesque Montana town during winter transitioning to spring. Begin with a scene showing a plus-size woman arriving at a small rustic cafe, looking uncertain but hopeful. Show moments of rejection at an airport, followed by a kind man greeting her with a warm smile and offering help. Transition to scenes of them working together in the cozy cafe, sharing laughter. Community gatherings like a winter festival with lanterns and bonfires, and quiet walks by snowy forests and rivers. Highlight tender moments where they build trust and connection, emphasizing genuine smiles, hand-holding, and shared warmth by a fireplace. End with a romantic proposal seen outdoors at sunset, surrounded by blooming wildflowers and mountains in the background. Capturing the themes of resilience, acceptance, and true love. Use warm lighting, natural scenery, and subtle music to evoke emotions of hope, belonging, and transformation.